St. George used the term Hispanic as opposed to Latino, and using its data. But I want to tell you about this population primarily coming from Central America because the largest percentage of it is from Mexico. The next, and then we have other countries represented, Guatemala, Ecuador, El Salvador, and so forth. My Mexican population, they come from communities that are very rural and very poor, all the way up to very urban and have wealth. And so many of my kids who come 97% white, my white population. Their grandparents, aunts and uncles all graduated from the school. They're not going anywhere. 3% Asian. My Asian population is Southeastern Asian, primarily Laotian, Cambodian, Vietnamese, and then also Southwestern Asia. So we're talking some Saudis, Palestinians, Jordanians. Right? We got the whole world in our building. And it's one of the things that when people talk about you got to learn cultures and stuff like this, I got to tell you something. Don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out all the cultures. You got to start with understanding teenagers first. You know, the community. 1% other. This is just a combination of other kids that identify themselves from all different types of ethnicities from all over the world. This is something that we're going to come back to